Think about the last time a villain made you genuinely uncomfortable. Not the kind of uncomfortable where you roll your eyes, the kind where you shift in your seat, where something about the performance feels too real, too lived in, too close. That feeling has a face. You've seen it in blockbusters. You've seen it in cult classics. You've watched it steal entire scenes from A-list actors who were getting paid 10 times more. You've felt it in your chest during moments you can still picture clearly. But here's what's strange. If someone asked you right now to name the actor behind that face, you'd pause. You'd fumble. You'd say something like, you know, that guy. The guy from that thing. That guy has a name, and his story is unlike anything Hollywood has produced in the last 40 years. Michael Rooker was born in Jasper, Alabama in 1955. He didn't grow up with connections, no agent uncle, no family friend in the industry. He grew up working class in a world where survival came before stardom. He moved to Chicago as a young man. That decision changed everything. In Chicago, he studied at the Goodman School of Drama. He learned to act the hard way, through discipline, through repetition, through training that strips away everything fake and leaves only what's real. In 1986, a low-budget independent film came looking for someone to play a serial killer named Henry. Not a stylized movie version killer, a real one. Methodical, cold, disturbingly ordinary. Rooker didn't just take the role, he inhabited it. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, was shot on 16mm film with almost no money and almost no crew. It sat on a shelf for years because no distributor would touch it. When it finally got released in 1990, critics called it one of the most disturbing and authentic performances in American film history. Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars. The Chicago film critics named Rooker Best Actor. Film scholars wrote about it in terms usually reserved for icons. Hollywood came calling almost immediately, but what happened next wasn't what anyone expected. What followed should have been a meteoric rise. By most measures, it was. In 1989, he appeared alongside Tom Cruise and Robert Duvall in Days of Thunder. In 1991, he was in Oliver Stone's JFK. In 1993, he starred opposite Sylvester Stallone in Cliffhanger. That same year, he showed up in Tombstone next to Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, and Sam Elliott. He was everywhere. Every major director seemed to want him. Every casting director had his number, but something quietly became clear. Michael Rooker was never the lead. He was the threat, the obstacle, the face that made the hero look more heroic by contrast. He played corrupt cops, ruthless villains, backstabbing allies. He was magnetic in every single role, and then the credits would roll, and audiences would forget his name almost immediately. That's not an accident. Hollywood has a system. It has categories: lead actors, character actors, supporting players. Once the industry decides where you fit, it's almost impossible to move. Rooker was filed under villain permanently. He kept showing up anyway, because what else do you do when this is what you love? You show up, you work, you give everything to roles that other people would dismiss as beneath them. But the system had other plans. And what it did next was something the industry almost never admits out loud. In 2010, AMC launched a zombie drama that became one of the most watched shows in cable television history. Rooker joined The Walking Dead as Merle Dixon, a brutal, unpredictable survivor who said things most characters wouldn't dare say. Who did things most characters wouldn't dare do? Audiences were divided. Some hated Merle on sight. Others couldn't take their eyes off him. Either way, no one could ignore him. There's a specific kind of electricity that happens when an actor with decades of experience is finally given room to run. That's what happened here. Every scene Rooker walked into, the temperature changed. Fan forums exploded. Reddit threads tracked his every move. Viewers who had spent years watching him in supporting roles finally had a name to attach to that face. Then came Season 3. Merle Dixon was killed off. Not quietly, dramatically, conclusively, in the kind of scene that the internet spends weeks processing afterward. Rooker was gone. Again. In retrospect, the timing feels almost symbolic. Just when the mainstream audience had finally found him, the show took him away. Build, peak, disappear. It was a pattern that had been following him his entire career. But what came next would catch almost everyone off guard. After The Walking Dead, Rooker worked consistently. but consistently is not the same as prominently. He appeared in smaller films, independent productions, genre work, the kind of projects that keep an actor's craft sharp but rarely make entertainment headlines. There were rumors during this period, industry chatter about actors his age being quietly passed over, about the unspoken shelf life Hollywood assigns to character actors who never fully crossed into the star tier, about how the business with its obsession for youth and fresh faces rarely comes back for the veterans it once couldn't get enough of. None of this is confirmed. Rooker has never publicly complained about being overlooked. He never gave the bitter interview, never aired the grievance. He just kept working, quietly, without the kind of public frustration that often defines actors who feel cheated by the industry, which made what came next feel almost like a message. In 2014, director James Gunn was building a Marvel film called Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a massive risk. The source material was obscure, the cast was unconventional, nobody was certain it would land. Gunn had worked with Rooker before, he trusted him. He cast him as Yondu Funeral, a blue-skinned space pirate with a whistling arrow and a complicated relationship with the film's hero, Peter Quill. Yondu was not supposed to be a major character. He became one of the most beloved figures in the entire Marvel universe. Audiences responded to something in the performance that went beyond the makeup and the visual effects. There was warmth underneath the menace, humor underneath the threat, a father-son dynamic that developed slowly across 2 films and paid off in a way that no one predicted. The character that was supposed to be a footnote turned into the emotional center of a billion-dollar franchise. And then came Volume 2. Guardians Volume 2 gave Yondu a death scene. It also gave him one of the most emotionally devastating funerals in superhero film history. The sequence arrives near the end. After everything, after the revelations and the battles and the choices that couldn't be undone, Yondu sacrifices himself for Peter. He floats in the void of space. He smiles. And then every Guardian and every Ravager ship in the fleet fires off a colored light in tribute. The music swells. Cat Stevens plays. The colors fill the screen. People cried in theaters. People who had never once cried at a Marvel film. People who had never heard the name Michael Rooker sat there in the dark with tears on their faces and couldn't fully explain why. A comment circulated online after the film came out. It said, "I've seen him in so many things. I never knew his name. I feel like I owe him an apology." That comment got thousands of likes because it was honest, because it said what a lot of people were feeling but hadn't found. The words, "for yet." Because Rooker had been giving everything to his work for decades, and the audience had been receiving it without ever fully acknowledging where it came from. The Yondu Funeral didn't just break hearts, it broke something open. It made people go back and look. And what they found was 40 years of extraordinary, quietly undervalued work. But then something strange started happening. Something the industry wasn't prepared for. Online, a reassessment was building. Clips from Henry resurfaced. Old interviews circulated. Fans who had only known Rooker as Yondu or Merle started digging. And what they found was a career that, viewed in full, looked nothing like what the billing suggested. The performances were there the whole time. The range was there. The craft was undeniable. What hadn't been there was someone in a position of power deciding that Michael Rooker should be the name above the title. There's a specific kind of anger that fans feel when they discover this. When they realize that the industry didn't fail to notice someone, it noticed them just fine. It just decided to use them a certain way and keep using them that way because it was profitable, because leads are investments and character actors are tools. Rooker never said any of this publicly. Rumors suggest he came close a few times, that there were conversations behind closed doors that got heated, that certain projects he was promised didn't come through in the way he was led to believe. None of this is confirmed, but the chatter hasn't gone away. What is confirmed is the body of work, and the body of work speaks for itself. Michael Rooker turned 71 years old on April 6th of this year. He is still working. That is not a throwaway line. In an industry that discards actors like seasonal content, still working at 71 after Henry, after Merle, after Yondu, after 40 years of giving everything to roles the system told him weren't leading man material. That's something worth sitting with. Most of the stars who outbilled him in the 90s are faded or retired. The blockbuster names that studios invested millions in promoting are largely gone. The industry moved on from them the way it always moves on. It hasn't fully moved on from Rooker, because the thing about being the character actor rather than the star is that your shelf life is different. You don't burn as bright, but you also don't burn out. You're not built on one franchise or one moment. You're built on craft, and craft lasts. Speculation is swirling right now about what comes next for him. Fans are talking. Rumors suggest Marvel hasn't fully closed the door on Yondu. Flashbacks, multiverses, and anthology formats are all being floated. Nothing is confirmed. Nothing official has been announced. But the fact that the conversation exists at all, years after the character died on screen, says everything about the kind of impression a real performance leaves behind. Whether anything comes of it or not, one thing is already settled. Michael Rooker has outlasted almost everyone who was supposed to be above him. He gave 40 years to an industry that filed him under supporting cast. He made audiences feel things they couldn't explain. He turned a background character in a space comedy into someone worth grieving. And he did it without anyone handing him the spotlight. So here's the question worth leaving you with. A man spends 4 decades giving everything to a business that never fully gave back. He builds something no amount of marketing can manufacture, a body of work that makes you feel something, even when you don't know his name. Is that the definition of tragedy? Or is that the purest form of legacy there is? Legend, or invisible for too long? Drop your answer below. We'll be reading every single one.